Ninjago has released 440 sets in the last 15 years, with some costing hundreds of dollars, and everyone has at some point wondered, how much would it cost to buy every single one? Since I have way too much free time, I just spent the last 50 hours adding together prices of almost 500 sets, not one, not two, but 3 times. But the good news is, I didn't do all this just for nothing, so I'll show you why I really did this at the end of the video. The first way that I want to find the price of every set is to see how much it would have cost to buy them directly from LEGO when they first came out. A clue at the total price is that you would have gotten over 100,000 VIP points just from Ninjago. The first Ninjago sets released were for the pilot. In this season, the ninja first discovered Spinjitzu, so LEGO released a bunch of spinners, each for about $10. The dragons and the Skulkin vehicles were also a big part of the season, and just imagine if I was smart enough to buy a lightning dragon for only $80 back then. Adding it to the rest of the sets from the season, all the pilot sets came out to $802. Season 1 was pretty similar to the pilot because it had a lot of the sets from the season that were little $10 spinners and spinner accessories, and we also got a lot of villain vehicles in this wave. Instead of dragons though, the ninjas were riding around in their own vehicles this time. If you bought the entirety of Season 1, the entire wave would have cost you $817. Season 2 was a lot smaller than the last 2 waves, so it gave Ninjago fans a break and let them pick up the entire wave for only $205. Season 3 was the season to save Ninjago, so of course they had to go all out with the sets, and they totally did. If you bought the entire wave back in 2014, it would have only cost you $412, which is an absolute steal for what you're getting. In 2015, Ninjago got arguably 2 of the greatest seasons we've ever seen in the same year, with Season 4 and 5 coming out sporting great sets. Season 4 was actually able to get almost everything from the season, and you could pick it all up for only $488, whereas Season 5 was missing a lot of things from the show, but they did make up for it with how awesome the sets were that they did release. The City of Styx was one of the most unique sets that they've ever made, and I want one so bad. Final Flight of Destiny's Bounty started a whole new era for the ship, and of course, the Temple of Reijetsu was the biggest Ninjago set released at the time. This theme was pretty pricey at $820, but in my opinion, it would all be worth it. Season 6 was surprisingly cheap, coming in at $293 for the entire wave, which is kind of crazy to think about when the set alone sells for almost twice that. Day of the Departed was more of an underground season, but it still had a price of $540 because there were 2 giant sets in there. Season 7 was also a fairly small season, coming in at $285, but can we still appreciate how cheap Iron Doom was? Some will debate me about putting the movie on this list, but it's Ninjago, so I'm including it for another $1,650, which seems like a lot more than it should be until you realize that this includes both Ninjago City and the docks. 2018 was another year that we got 2 seasons, with Season 8 coming in at $355 and Season 9 coming in at $555. But this one actually makes sense because these 2 seasons actually work together a lot, unlike 2015. Since most of the Season 10 sets were actually technically legacy sets, the Oni Blister Pack was the only set released for the entire season, coming in at $13. Season 11 came in at $528, which sounds like a lot until you realize that this was technically 2 seasons combined. Season 12 was $325 in total, and after that they released Master of the Mountain, finally giving us a new feature for the spinners, and that wave totaled out to about $380. The island was more of a mini season, which only included 4 sets, 5 if you include the polybag, totaling out to $180. Season 15 was a surprisingly small wave with only 5 sets, totaling out to $380, but to contrast that, Core was surprisingly large, spanning multiple years and costing $980 when no one really wanted it. Crystallize was an amazing wave, bringing back many old enemies that made the $610 price tag totally worth it. But now we move on to the new era of Ninjago with Dragons Rising Season 1, and that was such a huge launch into the new era, costing almost $1,100 for the entire wave. Season 2 showed that this more expensive Switch would be a permanent thing though, as it cost $1,285, and Season 3 came shortly after for about $1,650. Season 4 is the newest, coming in at only $355, but there are more because Ninjago actually also had its legacy line that was releasing sets for almost 7 years, and over that time, it's been the cause for another $1,858 that Ninjago fans have had to spend. The final category I labeled miscellaneous because it just includes a bunch of sets that I don't technically have their own season, like Brickheads, Bricktober, Juniors, Employee Exclusives, and Comic-Con stuff. This entire category actually only came out to $255. Now that we're all done with the sets, I can tell you guys that the total for every single one of those sets would have been right around $17,000. But wait, that's not it, because that's just the price that you would have paid back when these sets came out fresh. But it's 2026, and some of these sets that you used to be able to pick up for $10 are now going for thousands. So I want to figure out how much it would cost to get all of these now, both new and used, but I'll start it out with the new sets. But I promise I'll make these a lot faster than the last ones. The pilot would be $6,469 because all the sets like the Lightning Dragon that go for multiple thousands nowadays. Season 1 was the most expensive season, coming at $8,105 because of the spinner that used to be $10 but now is $1,400. Season 2 is only $1,160. Season 3 came in at $1,975. And Season 4 is now $1,785. Now, it's no surprise that Season 5 is $4,285 because it has sets like the Temple of Reijetsu and City of Styx. Season 6 came in at around $1,485, which is actually kind of starting to look like our average. But Day of the Departed broke that, costing $2,435 to fully buy because of huge sets like this. Season 7 is now $1,892 because of the Iron Doom. And unsurprisingly, the movie sets prices went crazy, climbing to $4,204 because of big sets like the cities. Season 8 stayed surprisingly cheap at $1,140 with sets like the Temple of Resurrection and Kilo. Season 9 stayed around the average price of $1,500, but Season 10 is by far the cheapest season, costing $150. But that's 10 times what it used to cost. Season 11 now costs $1,855. Season 12 costs $660. Season 13 is $700. Season 14 costs $240. Season 15 costs $535. And Core now unsurprisingly only costs $1,207, which is a lot of money, but it's only a 20% increase. Crystallize has already shot up to $1,175. Dragon's Rising Season 1 is at $1,115. Dragon's Rising Season 2 is now at $1,475. But after that, Season 3 and 4 stayed around the same at $1,671 and $355 because they haven't retired yet. The entire Legacy wave is now up to $2,950, and the miscellaneous category shot from $250 to $4,640 because of some of these sets are now worth thousands on their own. If you were to buy every single Ninjago set today, new in box, it would have in total cost you $55,000, which is literally enough to buy this house or this Z06 Corvette. The final and, in my opinion, most important category is how much it would cost you to buy every single one of these sets used today. So let's get right into speedrunning that one. The pilot is $3,945, Season 1 is $3,165, Season 2 is $585, Season 3 is $880, $920 for Season 4, Season 5 would come out to $2,150, Season 6 is $605, Day of the Departed is $1,170, Season 7 is $960, and the movie would actually only be $2,680. Season 8 is now $630, Season 9 is $1,025, the Oni are only $105, Season 11 is $885, Season 12 is $460, Master of the Mountain is now $465, the Island would be $460, Core is now about $850, Crystallized is $815, Dragon's Rising Season 1 is $1,070, Season 2 is $1,190, Season 3 and 4 are about the same at $1,731 and $355, Legacy is $1,995, $1,000 less than its brand new price, and the miscellaneous is now $3,520, which all totals up to a used price of over $33,000, which is still an absurd amount of money. Now that I've found the prices for each of these sets, I can finally reveal to you why I actually did this. I want to collect every single Ninjago set ever made right here on my YouTube channel. And I did this to set a challenge for myself to get every single set for less than it would have cost to buy when they first came out. So I will be collecting one set for every single like this video gets, no matter what. That means if it gets 440 likes, I'll have to buy every single Ninjago set. And if it goes even further than that, I will have to find sets that technically don't even exist. So like the video if you want to see me do that, and subscribe so you can watch the insane series unfold.